So, Liz, we are thrilled to be speaking with you today. Let us start by sharing what makes you a woman of change and therefore a woman of concern. So, just to go through it, in 2019, you combined your passion for impact and adventure and launched Run to Reach, a worldwide philanthropic initiative in which you set out to run 30 marathons in 30 different countries before the age of 30 to support local women empowerment organizations in each country visited. And in June 2020, you crossed the 30th and final finish line, raising over $50,000 for local organizations. So while your project is a great athletic feat, in and of itself, Run to Reach seems to be about far more than just running. As you ran alongside women and girls everywhere from the lush jungles of Sierra Leone to the small villages in Somaliland and through the uncanny beauty of Afghanistan, central to your mission was with shining the spotlight on the tireless efforts of local NGOs dedicated to women's empowerment whose efforts go unsung in Western media. So I just wanted to start off with, can you tell us a story of a woman, a change maker who inspired you on your journey?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, Mark, thank you so much. I mean, it's a huge honor and pleasure to be featured as a woman of change. And absolutely, I guess over the course of this 18-month Run to Reach journey, I specifically worked with one sports empowerment NGO in Afghanistan. And it was while traveling there that I met truly some of the most inspiring women I've ever had the pleasure of coming in contact with. One woman whose story I got to know quite well while I was there, her name was Nazima. And yeah, it really just solidified the role that sports can play in completely uplifting women's lives around the world. Nazima came from the Kandahar region of Afghanistan, which is a notoriously conservative part of the country. And, she told me about the mountains of barriers she faced at first, to even try to convince her family, her parents, to allow her to start running through this NGO sports program. And by the time she started training, it was unthinkable for women to show themselves publicly by running or engaging in any type of sport. But essentially, over time, she committed to training and literally and figuratively continued to put one foot in front of the other through running, and was able to tap into her inner flame, meaning her sense of personal confidence, which really has motivated every next step of her life direction. So yeah, I mean, that's just one story of many, which I'm sure we'll go over more throughout our conversation. But yeah, but truly, just it was so incredible to meet some of these women.
No, that sounds incredible to inspire someone else on their running journey. But I guess that sort of segues into my next question, which is more so about, going right back to the beginning and just to find out, well, why did you start running and how did your relationship with running impact you on a personal level?
Absolutely. So I started my personal running journey almost 10 years ago, soon after my father suddenly passed away. And like for many, running really became my coping mechanism going through this very heavy grieving period following his death. I was never really driven by competition with running. I never really wanted to get an amazing time in a race, for example, but running really felt like the hour or few hours in my day that I could be fully present with my thoughts. And with every drop of sweat, I just felt lighter, more emotionally balanced, and honestly capable of anything. And then eventually crossing the finish line of my first marathon in 2013, it just gave me this surge of confidence. It made me feel completely limitless in my potential, just completely free and liberated. And it was the first time in my life I'd ever truly felt this sensation before. And it was also just the first realization that I had of just how much of an earth shattering impact sports can play on all of our lives.
Yeah, no, it's really fascinating how you could take something that sort of starts off from a personal tragedy, then sort of grow into, I suppose, you know, accomplishments of your own right that you could take a lot of pride in. But then also looking at the remit of Run to Reach, it has a very positive effect on, the sort of local NGOs and the groups you've worked with. And it seems that sport, or in your case, running, is definitely more than just a leisure activity. There's a quote
Mhm.
from Nelson Mandela who said, and I quote, "Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to a youth in a language they understand, and sport can create hope where once there was only despair." End quote. But in line with this sentiment, we acknowledge that sport can help overcome the barriers imposed by poverty, discrimination, and disadvantage. But can you share your thoughts on that?
Yes, of course. I mean, simply put, sports, particularly running, it really has the ability to bring people together across cultural, ethnic, and religious lines. And, it also changes the roles that women can and should play in society by having them gain public space through exercise. I think above all, to me, running is an opportunity to learn more about one's strengths, one's weaknesses, whatever background you come from. Also to learn about one's mind and to really feel the freedom through observing and connecting with your surroundings, specifically nature too. And simply putting one foot in front of the other by running, for example, can be the gateway to physical literacy that provides the stepping stones, for a lifelong journey of motivation, confidence, knowledge, and really the understanding to take responsibility of one's engagement in their lives.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And I think obviously it's also has many health benefits, but then also has a significant impact on, as you said, sort of removing the divisive lines of inequality and accelerating global progress towards gender equality, which is essential to Concern's mission of ending worldwide, ending extreme poverty. But in your running journey, meeting women and girls across communities around the world and running alongside them, can you reflect a little deeper on sports as a tool to break barriers?
Yes, of course. I mean, I think there's a very positive domino effect when it comes to using sports as a tool to break social barriers. Seeing women training for and participating in running races around the world, specifically in the global south, the finish line, crossing that finish line for these women is not just about proving something to themselves. They're proving, to their country that women can accomplish amazing things when they put their minds to it. And, they're showing also that men and women as equals on and off the playing field.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think it's very inspirational in terms of how you're using integrating sports as a tool for personal development, but also just broader equality. And you look at sort of local initiatives as well as female athletes from developing countries, and it certainly inspires us to do more. But Liz, you supported a number of local NGOs in that area. How was it working with local women who were determined to make a change in their own communities?
Yes, it was really such a privilege being able to work with so many types of organizations who, were simply just giving the tools for women to empower themselves and each other in these local communities through sports, by defining their identities and reimagining their standing in society. It's quite hard to narrow down some of the stories of meeting such inspiring women through some of these sports empowerment NGOs. But if it really had to come down to it, I think my personal favorite was hearing one of the women runners I met while in Afghanistan, Hanifa, tell me that she one day dreamed of becoming the first female president of Afghanistan. And I've been in contact with her since the situation has changed there over the last year, and she still has this dream. And, I know her, since she started running a few years ago, it has literally just enabled her to again reimagine her standing in society, and to have these really big dreams, and to also just feel completely empowered in herself to be able to pursue these dreams in the future. And another incredible experience was meeting and witnessing the first Somali woman, her name was Hannah, to ever run a marathon in her home country, Somaliland. And I think, again, to Hannah, crossing the finish line of the Somaliland Marathon singularly elevated the standing of all Somali women, and paving the way for future Somali women to follow in her footsteps and exercise their independence through sport. So yeah, again, I could probably go into so many different stories, but in the interest of us, keeping this conversation at a a decent amount of time, I just think, yeah, I mean, these two stories are just examples of two young women who are the force leading these countries forward for generations to come through sport specifically.
No, that's very fascinating, very inspiring to see others sort of leading change in their own country, and also being I guess, a role model to other young girls or women as well. But yeah, no, I think it's been very wonderful to hear your perspectives on this, Liz. So I'd like to thank you so much for your time. It was amazing to hear your perspective, and yeah, definitely would check out Run to Reach. But for those of whom who are watching or listening, Women of Concern is a global community connecting you with change-making women. We enable practical and positive change for women and girls experiencing extreme poverty across communities around the world. So join us to find out more.